I'll have a list of things I want to do in the studio. There could be like 20, 30 things on that list, whether it's, a specific EP I want to make for labels, certain kinds of content. And for me, I just find like block booking it is so much easier, and it just focuses my mind. So I can just be like, right, this 2 weeks, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do mini mixes, and I want to prepare that for Instagram and TikTok and get it all ready, boxed off. And then I don't have to worry about that. This week, I'm going to focus on production. This few days, I'm going to look at getting samples, etc., etc. And then if I block book my time that way, I find it easier to manage.
Today, I'm welcoming in another one of my students from the Artist Blueprint. There's an artist called P.WE. He's from Manchester. He joined the course in 2021 and has been absolutely smashing it. Hailing from Manchester, P.WE developed a love for underground house music during his early clubbing days, such as venues as Sankeys and warehouse projects. His productions are made for the club and are dominated by deep and groove-like bass lines. We've had a release on 63B, which absolutely smashed it. His follow-up one on 63 is out today on Bandcamp, which I'm very excited about. We're going to be playing that later. He's also been killing it on the content front, and I'm going to talk about content a lot today. So let's get him in here. Hey, dude.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you? Well, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Doing well. Well, I say that, a little illness on the side, but we won't talk about that. I'm manning up for today.
Thank you so much for manning it up today. Oh my god, everyone's loving it. Everyone's in the beard gang. The beard gang in the chat have gone mental.
Beard game is strong with this one.
Yes, thanks for doing this today, dude. I'm really excited to chat. It's gonna be good fun.
Oh, me too. Glad for you to have me.
Before we get super serious, I know you've been on these streams. You get to. We always start with something silly, which is and as it's lunchtime, and we're all a big fan of meal deals. I thought I'd ask you, what is your go-to meal deal of choice?
Ooh, it's an interesting one. Meal deal choice. I think we'll have to go to Tesco Express for this one, and it's like I don't know. It's got salami on it. There's a bit of ham in there. I think it's a meat feast, deli meat feast. I think it's called. Just a little sub. Deli meat feast sub.
I've not. What is this madness? I've not heard of a deli meat sub. This sounds amazing.
It's the one. Yeah.
Who's
cocktail sandwich in the chat, and that used to be my go-to. Like that is a good one. But yeah, deli meat feast sub for me now. And then Lucasade original Boost chocolate bar.
Yeah, I'm always about. I like the Boost. I like a Boost. I like it when you put them in the fridge and they go solid and they go all crunchy.
That's the one. Yeah, double glucose with the Lucasade and the Boost. It's got to be done.
Yeah. Do you know? And definitely if you're feeling poorly, the Lucasade. Did you ever do that when you were younger? Like my mum used to give us she used to put a cup of Lucasade in the microwave, and it used to make you feel so much better. And there was no kind of reasoning to why it would make you feel better.
Yeah. Lucasade and a cup of soup was the one for my mum.
Yeah.
Any illness.
It was like if you're feeling poorly, you should just go and get, and it was like a mug of Lucasade, and it was really random, and I don't know if people still do that. Like I don't do it with my daughter. I used to buy Lucasade from the chemist back in the day. Oh my god, did you?
Oh, I feel bad for Sir Round Sound. You can't get Boost or Starbar here. All Lucasade. Where is that? Where's Round Sound? Do you know?
He's in the US of A.
Fair enough. That is sad times.
West. I think he's somewhere West Coast. I think I used to know, and I probably do know. He's in Tennessee. That's right, Tennessee. That's right. That's where he is. Right. For those that don't know who you are, can you give us a little introduction about yourself and tell us about yourself and your background?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my DJ name is P.WE. Real name Paul. I'm from Manchester in the UK. I've been DJing now for around. We'll say close to about 14 years, something like that. And then producing around about 6-7 years. I'd probably say 5 years, taking it seriously. Did a degree in music production with Point Blank. And then from there, just focused on making music, trying to make it a full-time thing. Music styles more like deep tech, minimal, but I'd say more on the techie side of things. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but I would say a little bit leaning over to the techie side. But yeah, I mean, that's who I am. That's the kind of music that I make. Like I said, I've been DJing for quite a while now. I used to put events on over in Shanghai, which is where I used to live.
No way.
Yeah. So I lived there for 6 years. So yeah, we watched. Seems like a lifetime ago now, but it's only actually 4 years ago. But with the whole
No,
COVID, it's all kind of got into one, hasn't it?
why did you go to Shanghai?
So I had a friend who was out there studying Chinese, doing their degree, and then I was just kind of at a bit of a loose end in England, looking for an adventure. They asked me if I wanted to go on a holiday. I went out there for 2 weeks, managed to work out a way of getting a visa, and then I thought, why not give it a shot? And then before I know it, 6 years had passed, and I was living my life out there.
No
Loving
way.
it.
So that was you came back 4 years ago, and it was the 6 years previous. So that's what 10
years ago now, yeah.
2013 you went 2013 you went out there. 2012,
2013. I do know Conrank. Someone's just said in the chat, Skeleton Keys. So Conrank was actually the person who I had my first production lessons with in Shanghai, believe it or not.
No way.
Yeah, he was just mentioned in the chat there, Skeleton Keys. He's a sound guy, really, really sound. So yeah, I did my first ever production course was in Shanghai, and he taught me in his studios. He's more like dubstep, that kind of like bassy kind of music. But yeah, he's a top guy.
That's very cool. And then you started DJing way before. So you started DJing before that.
Yeah, just before that, it was about a year or two before that I started DJing. Again, it was just more of I was like 20, 21 at the time. Didn't really know where I was going. I was doing a nice job in finance, but wasn't really happy. I was thinking of things to do. One of my main enjoyments was like going out at the weekends, obviously going clubbing, going to places like Sankeys, warehouse music. And then it was just over a conversation with a couple of friends, and they pointed out a course in Manchester. I think it was Manchester MIDI Centre or MIDI College, I think it was. And then they linked me up with this course, and then never looked back from there.
What were you listening to then? What were you DJing then? Because I'm guessing you've evolved to the deep tech sound.
Oh, definitely evolved now. I don't know. I mean, like when I was going out, I would say it was quite kind of similar to what I was playing now. More tech housey, like Tribal Sessions was like something that I was really big into. But when I started DJing, I was just playing anything. Like anything I could get my hands on, anything that was kind of mainstream at the time. I think Avicii Levels was out just around that time. So I was just, anything that was kind of remotely dancey, I was into. Like I didn't really care about genre. I was just caring about going out and having a good time and playing at like friends' houses, like, local parties and stuff like that. Just the good time vibes for people, basically.
That's cool. You see that online, people moaning about like these kind of big artists that with these big kind of, gateway music basically. And it just shows like where you started there to where you are now. Like this is why these artists are so good and they're so big, because it does bring people in, it does bring people into the scene, and then you do evolve and your sound evolves and you kind of grow up with the music then.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
What were you listening to growing up before that?
Before that, I would say when I was like 16, I was a bit of an indie kid. So I was like around the time of like when the Killers were just coming out, Arctic Monkeys, all those kind of things. I'm from Manchester, so obviously I'm an Oasis boy. Like, so I'd say Oasis first, then the Killers. I was big into them. Hard-Fi was another band I was really big into.
Oh, I love them. I saw them in concert in Brighton. I love that. That first album was absolutely banging.
Yeah, I think they had a song called Cash Machine, I think it was. Like, I used to rinse it. It was called Cash Machine. But yeah,
yes,
I used to rinse it.
That was off the first album, yeah.
Yeah, love them. So yeah, I was definitely an indie kid until I was about 19, 20, and then just a chance taken to Sankeys off a recommendation from a friend, and then I went there once, and then there I was hooked from that moment on to that kind of music. Like I love the vibes, I love the atmosphere. Like spending with I'd never been to a club before where there wasn't any trouble. I kind of associated people going out having drinks, and there was always a kick-off or in the local town or something. And then when I went to Sankeys, it wasn't about that at all. It was all about just sharing the vibes and love with people. Everyone was there for a good time. Not once did I see anyone raise a voice. Never mind, kick off or anything like that. So yeah, I figured that was the place I wanted to enjoy my weekend.
Who was playing and what on that first night? Do you remember who was there?
Ooh, I think it was Benny Benassi.
No way.
Yeah, it was really. Oh, was it? I'm sure it was Benny Benassi because it was a really random. We walked straight in. There was no queue or anything back then. It was just like a random, just turning up, and I'm sure it was Benny Benassi. It could have been Pete Tong. One of the first two times. It was one of those anyway. And I remember there was. Remember that song by, is it Crookers?
Day and Night?
Yeah, Day and Night, that one, yeah. It was around about that time. And I remember that going on in the club and everyone just going mental. But yeah, so it was
Nice.
around that time period. I don't know if everyone's got the years, but yeah, it was. Yeah, I loved it.
Nice.
I didn't care who was on playing at the time. I'd go and see anyone. Like, I just loved the music. It really mattered to me.
I remember we booked Benny Benassi at Turnmills. Like, he literally just dropped Satisfaction, and one of the designer at the time couldn't even spell his name right. We literally we put posters out with Benny Banzi on, which we still laugh about today, Benny Banzi. And he couldn't, when he got there, he couldn't speak any Italian. But I made such an effort to I joked with him about it in the back room and just try and be like he would always give you a hug and kind of go, hey, and then that would be about it. He could speak in Italian, and I could speak couldn't speak in English, and I could speak much Italian, but we just kind of go hang out, but not really saying each other, just kind of like cheers and drink, and that was about it. But it was lovely.
Sometimes that's all you need. I said a lot of the time in China was spent the same way. Just learn how to say cheers in another language, and then that's it. As long as you know how to order a beer and you can say cheers, I think you'll get far in life.
What was the music like in China?
I would say very commercial. Like in a lot of the main steering clubs, it's very like tables, bottles, champagne, that kind of vibes. Never much of a dance floor. So I'd say like completely opposite to how it is here, really. Or the clubs that I would normally go to. Yeah, the Skeleton Key said very EDM kind of style music, that in your face, over the top, bleeding ears kind of stuff. Not my thing at all. But then there's still some like really cool underground spots in there, like little 200 cap venues, probably about 5 or 6 of them. There was a place called Mansion, which was really cool, which was like, basically it was a mansion. And they had like a basement club in there. And you just go in it, like, from the main road, they'd like open the fence. You'd just sneak in through the back fence, and they'd have like 500-600 people there, just having it large every week.
Oh,
I don't know how they nailed it on with like the authorities and stuff. But obviously, there was some backhanders happening or something. But yeah, it was that was the place for me when I was there. Loved it.
No way, that's cool. And then you said producing started 4 or 5 years ago. When you got back from China, you started
in Shanghai. I started producing. I had that course on rank. That was just like a small introductory course. And then did some bits by myself, and then realized that I wasn't really progressing like as fast as I wanted to be. And then I was just having a look online, seeing what was available. Obviously, with me being in China at the time, I wanted to try and find an online course. And that's when I found Point Blank and decided to apply to that and do a music production degree with them online.
Nice. How was that?
Yeah, it was good. It was really fun. It was perfect. Like, I loved it. Like, the tutors that they've got there are so knowledgeable. I'd say like it's a really good course for just giving you like a really good all-round basis of all the different facets of producing, whether that's like mixing, mastering, getting stuff started, like creative writing, all the different facets of music production, basically. A little bit of sound engineering in there as well. But yeah, it was perfect for me. It worked really well because I could kind of take it in my own time. I can see there they said Skion Kunfol seems a dope teacher. I had him a little bit for teaching, but mainly I had other guys. I had a guy called Satek. I think you might know him. It was like live production, so he was doing a live course with us. So we got like 3 months with him, teaching us all live stuff. That was amazing. Like, he's such a wizard. Like,
we had him on the stream. He's so good. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the best ones out there. And there was I can't remember a full name, so I won't say. It was a woman called Jennifer, and she was doing like more like the music business side of things. So we got to learn about that as well. So yeah, it's just great for all round game. But I would say, for example, if you already know that you want to be a house music producer, or I don't know, whatever genre it is that you want to do, then I would say you're possibly better off looking at somewhere like, I can't think of the name, what it's called. You know, those courses you could get where like you could do a Max Chapman course, or you can do like a Mark Ronson course, and you can learn that specific style of music. I'd probably say you might be better off spending your money doing that if you already know the kind of genre that you want to go into. Yeah, Fader Pro, as Loz says in the chat, going with them. But yeah, for an all-round game, it helped me massively. And my productions from when I started to 3 years later, they're just on a different level now. And then, I think
so. Have you done more stuff since that Point Blank course? Did you just do that one?
I just did that one. I've done like the odd couple of ones online. I'm trying to think. There was like a Repopulate Mars one that I did, but that was more like a couple of like just like YouTubey kind of ones that I've had a look at. And then I got, is it called BBC Maestro? So I got that as a gift for Christmas. I've been watching the Mark Ronson one of that, which is
I saw that one.
Yeah, it's not just obviously the kind of music I play, but it is quite it's interesting to learn from another perspective and how to make that kind of music, like pop music, and how like you kind of set up the recording and stuff. So that was interesting.
He's such a G as well, Mark Ronson. Like, he's so intelligent. Like,
when he starts showing you the stems of like the Amy Winehouse tracks and that album that he made, the Back to Black album, it's just like, oh wow, we're on another level now. And then you see like his studio set up, it's just it's unbelievable.
I met him once, and I met him at snowboarding, and I stood outside, and I was smoking then, and I had a fag, and he came out, and he was like, "You can have a fag," and I was like, and about 45 minutes later, in my head, I was like, I'm still talking to Mark Ronson about random nothingness, and like this is fucking surreal, because he is such a legend, man. I really do like everything he does.
Yeah, he's awesome. When you are kind of looking into that Mark Ronson stuff, like a lot of the stuff, really, what it teaches you, it's quite basic stuff. Do you know what I mean? I think we find like often as producers, we really overcomplicate it, especially like when you're starting out, and he just strips it right back, and you realize, oh, actually, I don't need that element and many elements to make a track pop and decent. It's all about the processing and things behind it.
That's really cool. That's really interesting. So when you were saying about his stems, he didn't have as much as you thought it would, or there was lots more kind of broken down?
Just how he kind of like gets his actual like production skills at the start, like how he starts it off, like he'll use like an MPC or something like that, and get a very basic drum loop. Whereas I think like even with like some producers, you could spend 3 hours looking at hi-hats and bloody clap sounds. You just get lost in that, don't you? And before you know it, 2 days have passed and you've got a basic drum loop or something. Whereas he has a much better streamlined process than what I used to use anyway. It's different now.
That's cool. And then your first release came out on a label called Cubed, called Love House.
Yeah. So I'd been to one of their parties. He had parties in Leeds as well. And then, they approached me. I'd had some stuff on BBC Introducing in Manchester. They'd heard my stuff. And then, just approached me, see if I could make something for like a compilation that they put out. So I gave them Love House. And then after that, I did another EP with them as well called Ketamind.
So tell me about Love House then. Shall I play it first and then we'll talk about it?
Yeah.
I thought we'd dig into the catalogue.
Dig in. It's been a while since I listened to this one, so look forward to it.
Let's do it.
In the house of flowers. It's one love forever and ever. I get lost inside his house.
There we go. Woo! Let's have a look on. So tell us about that.
Well, I'll tell you about that one. Well, I think it was just kind of inspired by, that kind of live percussion vibe. Like I was like looking at like, obviously just started out like a lot of people, a lot of different loops, and then from the percussion vibes, just obviously with the title Love House, I think I started off with a vocal actually. I'd found the Love House. Obviously, I've got a massive love for house music, and I thought, what can I? All the little sounds that I like. So I like that kind of tribal-y bongo feeling. So I had to get that in there. I like the little piano vibes. So I had that all kind of ready. And then also I added that like little bit of a sax at the end as a little bit of a teaser just after the main drop. But I don't think I started off with anything particularly in my mind apart from I wanted it to be housey, obviously. And on the lots of bongos in there as well because I love bongos. But apart from that, there wasn't much else to it, to be honest. I think I'd found the vocal, put a few things together, and then there it was. Obviously, after a bit of time in the studio, I'm trying to think whether that was one that I did for a uni assignment, but I don't think it was that one. I think that was a later one that I released. But yeah, like Caro says, you can never go wrongos with bongos.
You never go wrongo with bongos. Bongos never go wrongos. Oh, that's really cool.
And, I don't call myself P.WE around sound, but I should do. If I'm doing warm-up sets. That's definitely what I should do in the future. I love that.
What do you use your spinneroonie for? We're going to talk about what you use your spinneroonie for in a bit. I know what you use your spinneroonie for.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit when we get. I want to talk about your content series and loads in a bit. I know what he uses his spinneroonie for. I just remember I saw it the other day because actually I saw it and I messaged you on Instagram and said you've got a spinneroonie too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. And then so that one came out March 2021.
March 21. Yeah, a couple of years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you joined me on the course, on actually the second run of ever the course, when we did the live courses in the May. Do you remember what your motivation was jumping on the course was and joining us was for? Well,
yeah, definitely. At the time, obviously, I just had that track signed. I was just wanting to progress, but I didn't really know kind of where to go from there. Especially, obviously, I know that you're a wizard with like social media side of things as well. That was always something that I really struggled for and needed a lot more like kind of help and advice on. I think I don't know if I'd seen an ad or I was already following you. I'm not sure. I know a couple of people had mentioned like you in passing as well, some other producers that I'd met. I did it was like a 1-day course at Fabric. They had some talks there. There's a couple of that. And I think maybe you was a guest speaker there.
Yeah, I was. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
I remember that was such a good day. That was I remember that. That was good. That was good fun.
Yeah, so I think I saw you there. Obviously, loved what you were talking about, and you seem very knowledgeable. So I've fancied a bit of that, and sent you a message, and then the rest is history. Got stuck into the course, and what a massive help it's been. What a massive help. Even just like the little tools and little websites that you can use to just things such as like Clipper or something like that for getting your audio and videos and all those little things and InShot and you're just a wizard at knowing the right apps to use. It's going to save me massive amounts of time and help me kind of focus on the production side of things. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the biggest things you got out of the course, and what stuff have you implemented as well?
Social media, like content scheduling, was like a massive thing. I was very like I'd just post as and when I would go like, I wouldn't even think it had been that long, and I could go 4 or 5 months and not post anything and just not realize I just wasn't concentrating on social media at all. It wasn't that I didn't have content. I was just, I don't know what it was. I wasn't in that routine. I was, definitely like, and you kind of explaining it in, easy layman's terms and, things like getting a content calendar set up and planning like 3 months in advance, for example, of like what content you're going to post. I found that kind of stuff like really, really helpful. Like I said, the little apps that you kind of suggested as well to help us use, that was helpful as well. So by putting all those little bits together, it improved my content creation like tenfold, I would say, and the organization for that as well. Improved massively.
Wicked. That's really good. I'm so happy. Like the content now you're putting out now is amazing. I definitely want to go into content loads in a bit because what you're doing at the moment is I absolutely love it and it's absolutely killer. And the results are just showing for itself. And I hope they are getting more than you can sort of see from just looking at it. I hope they are expanding for you as well.
Oh yeah, it's been a revolution since I started doing that. Those main focuses like end of December, I was like, New Year's coming 2023. Let's absolutely smash it this year. Let's get the preparation. I did my 3 months scheduling, got all my ideas together, and then boom, just started cracking on. Then as soon as like it got to 1st of January and started making the content.
And then as you were finishing the course, you had the Ketamind. I have to say this right. Ketamind EP, which I actually premiered the lead track. I forgot that I did. I premiere
the lead track. Yeah, I think so.
Did I just push it?
It might have been that one that you premiered. I'm not sure, but
I think so. Yeah, or I helped you get it on. Oh no, I helped you get the answer on Techno Bible. That's right.
Probably the one, yeah.
But that's so. But let's listen to the lead track. I've got that up on my SoundCloud, and then we'll talk about that track and how it came about, and then we'll jump into like content and let's talk about content in loads. Let's listen to Ketamind.
And you become a friend of mine.
There we go. Woo! Do that, everyone. That was great, dude. So let's about that.
Thank you. That was just, I have like a book of ideas in my studio where I just like write random titles, whatever they might come to me, I don't know, when I've been out and I come back the next day or something. So I've got a book of ideas, and this one called Ketamind had just been there, and every time I kept looking at this book, I was looking for ages. And then I just got to writing some lyrics, like wrote a couple of lines out. Talked to my friend who like writes poems and is a bit of a lyricist. Got him to write a couple of lines for me as well, and then from there, once I got all the lyrics down, then I just got to making the track. Just wanted to make something that was suitable, obviously, for the club that you would find in like those kind of warehouses, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. vibes. I'd say it's probably leaning more onto the like techie side of things, definitely, compared to some of my other stuff, which is a bit more minimal now, I would say. But yeah, I just loved it. I'd sat on the lyrics for so long, and I must have tried about 10 different tracks, and I was like, nothing worked for it. Like what I wanted to put across, and then I came to this one, and then I put the lyrics with the track, and it just worked perfectly in my eyes.
Did you record?
Yeah, I recorded the lyrics myself. Yeah, it's my vocals.
Nice.
Yeah, which I think it was one of the first time I ever put my vocals on there, to be fair. But yeah, there's a lot of processing trying to hide the Manc accent, but I think it still comes through there.
Loads of people say you should let the accents come out though, because I saw it a while back. I saw someone saying about vocals, and you should let your accent come out because it makes it more you, and it makes it more. It just kind of gives us something different to it, you know?
Yeah, you're being your authentic self then, aren't you? I do get that.
Okay, cool. And then that came out at the end of May. Was it end of May?
Something like that, yeah. It's a few months after the first release anyway.
I think, was it end of, hang on, I saw, hang on a minute. Ooh. Yeah, I think it was, I think it was like I'm clicking around like a blooming, so that came out sort of toward, I think it was, end of July it was, I remember, because I was looking at it this morning thinking that was at the end of the course. And then did you kind of apply stuff to make that release do better because after doing that course basically?
Definitely, 100%. Because obviously I knew the release date, so then I just started planning properly for that release. Whereas Love House, I think it was just the day of, I made a post. That was that. Do you know what I mean? Not much follow-up to it at all, if I'm completely honest, at the time. Whereas with Ketamind, I had a bit more of a build towards the release, and then obviously pushed it afterwards. Got in contact with the right playlists, like Spotify playlists that you'd recommended, pushing it through like SoundCloud. Obviously, Techno Bible did a premiere on it. Blank did a premiere on it as well. So I just kind of had a few more extra contacts that I could use at that point as well. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. You can see like I was just looking at the streams on SoundCloud. The difference between like the first track had a few hundred, and that one had like 6,000, which is congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think John Summit put it on a playlist on Beatport, and then that had that had like a significant boost on the sales on Beatport. I know that. Because I think at first there's a remix on there from Ants, who's now going by Antiago. He's flying, and that was always kind of like outperforming it. And then as soon as John Summit put it on that playlist, it just kind of shot past it. Obviously, when John's dropping your music, it's a good thing these days.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, let's chat content. One of the things that like I said, I've said a couple of times, I'm really loving the content. I see it on Instagram, but I feel that you're doing it on TikTok as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm doing it on TikTok as well. Yeah, cross-posting on both of them, and cool. YouTube Shorts.
Oh, cool. Right? We'll talk about Shorts in a bit. Definitely, okay. I want to understand how that's doing. But I just want to jump in. I think I can do a screen share.
Yeah, of course.
This is sort of where we're at. Look, so there's our Spinneroony. Yeah,
Spinneroony's made a debut there.
And this is the kind of feel for, you've got a definite flow going. Holy crap, you've done loads of these now. Holy moly. Yeah. And you can see this at the start, but now they're. So talk us through the ideas, talk about through the series, talk us through like what you're doing. I'm just going to jump back to the screen.
Yeah, of course. So obviously I was just kind of before Christmas, I was just trying to get my head together, come up with some different content ideas. And then I just kind of realized that obviously I've got this massive catalogue of music that I've kind of built up over the last few years, especially like the minimal, the deep tech stuff. It's all music that I'm really into. And I just figured, well, why not shine a light not only on like the music that I enjoy, but also the labels as well that are putting out this music, as a way of kind of helping me bridge a connection with them as well. I thought could be really useful. So I was kind of just going through my Beatport, looking at all the labels that I'd kind of like, obviously I enjoy because I've bought stuff from in the past. And then from there kind of detailed a long list of that. And then after I think I had about 60, 70 labels there, then I researched all those tracks, like give myself a little top 5 for all of those. And then on the side note of that, then I was thinking, okay, so what's going to kind of reach a more, not global audience is probably the wrong word, but more mainstream audience kind of things. Then I was looking at like more like the house classics vibes. I was doing like house music OGs, dance anthems, that kind of content where I generally only post that on the weekend, maybe like a Friday or a Saturday with that one. And I want to get a much broader reach. So that's always good for getting the numbers out there and extra followers. But then the music that I'm more into and more my style and more like label based, I put that out about 5 times a week. What that's been really good at for me, like I said, is just making contact with these labels that I'm, you know, the labels that I want to release on. So they might not necessarily do the same kind of numbers as the House Classics top 5 will get me, but it will get me in contact with the producers that are releasing on those labels, vocalists that have been on the labels, like the actual label owners, the label itself, and then they'll obviously cross-post my content onto their socials, which is increasing my reach, and I'm getting new fans. Yeah, mega, exactly. I'm getting new fans from that. Like I've had a few labels that want to do some like collaborations in the future. I've had artists in the last week that have messaged me as well, wanting me to do a top 5 just for them. So it obviously is getting out there, the content that I'm doing. So that's been massive for me, because before then, obviously I'm on the same train as everyone else, sending out demo emails and not really, you know, getting a response from them. Whereas now I've got that extra in already, so that when I do approach them, they're going to know who I am because they've seen my content in the last couple of months. And they're going to, you know, be more likely to open my email and listen to my track, or, you know, they're following me on Instagram now, so I can just send them a DM link. So it's been amazing for that. Like,
that's amazing. That's amazing. I didn't realize it went to this depth. This is mental. So I'm loving that you've got essentially two strategies. One that's a week one, which is for the music you're in, the one you're trying to get signed to, but then there's also this weekend strategy of it's more mainstream, so that's going to build you more numbers overall, isn't it? Which is
yeah, exactly. So that's the stuff where I'm gaining kind of like more followers on, for sure, compared to the other stuff. But then I'm still staying true to myself. It's still music I love. Do you know what I mean? Like those house classic, like just kind of like veering onto a little spinneroonie, if you don't mind me just going onto that. Do
it.
Okay, if I just jump onto that, because from that house classics, obviously from there, I've realized, okay, what people are really into regarding the house classics. And now that's gone on to another piece of content that I started creating using the spinneroonie, which is full of house classics. And then I just give that a spin. And then from there, I've got an edit that I can make of a house classic. And then it's more content to put out there. I've got inspiration in edits that I can start working on. And yeah, it's a win-win basically for me. Like it's going really well.
How are you choosing firstly, should we look at this content? Because I can actually play it. I've got it up. So let's just play it. This is it here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my house classics one, yeah. You can remix it.
So let's play it so people can get to see the idea. Oh, hang on. Let me just skip the...
Remixing house classics.
Nice. Okay, so for a couple of questions, right? How did you make the list? Did you poll it? Did you ask the audience to give you ideas? How did that happen?
Mainly came from my TikTok, to be honest, because I tend to get a lot more engagement through my TikTok, especially on the house classics kind of stuff. Just looking at like which one of those that I posted has performed well, which tracks they are, and then obviously in those comments, like what tracks people have been choosing as, you know, oh, I love that track, that takes me back, you know, such memories. Any comment that's kind of like that, I'm like, that's going on the list, because we know straight away it's hitting the nostalgia vibes. And I think a massive part of our success, like especially on TikTok, is playing into that nostalgia stuff and taking people back to those memories from, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when they're going out raving. And it's a nice little throwback for them. And then it's just obviously now just putting a modern twist on that in a more minimal kind of deep tech style that I know that's going to work on a dance floor these days. Whereas if you play one of those old tracks in a dance floor these days, it's not really, the bass isn't there, the kick's not the same, they're kind of not mastered to the same level as they are now. So yeah.
They always sound a bit different, don't they? But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So putting a modern spin on those old classics, basically.
That's very cool. I saw a question in the chat. Let's talk about the kind of, so how much time a week are you dedicating to content creation, would you say? This is the one other thing I want to talk about. Is so you built these two, essentially this series, and now this second series. How did the kind of creation part of it go? Like, obviously you spent and wrote down 60 labels, which is absolutely, I love that. Talk me through the kind of creation process.
Yeah, I'm literally just going to get up my my content tracker now so I can have a look. So yeah, I think I'd put down. Oh no, to be fair, I've got 90. So I've got. Woo-hoo! So yeah. So it was 3 months. It's not just labels. Some of that is house classics as well that I've put in there. So I planned for 90 days, and then I just spent the next 2 weeks just recording videos and recording content. So I had most of the tracks already. Any of the tracks that I didn't have, I just obviously downloaded then. And then from there, I started to put in the mini mixes. And I think once I was in the swing of things, I had everything set up, obviously, then I could just start boxing them out in, like, say, half an hour periods. I'd do the recording of the mix, get that exported, put it into InShot straight away, which is the app that I use for the editing of the video. And then from there, I just, do all the graphics on top of it, save it, put it in a folder, and then I was just blasting through them as much as possible. There are ones such as I do a New Music Friday one every Friday, and obviously I do that on the day. It takes me about an hour or something like that to get the music and get it recorded and edited. But yeah, I just boxed it off basically in 2 or 3 weeks. So I just had that all done, and then I know that I've got 90 days of content there already that I just need to post every day. And then obviously coming towards the end of that 90 days, I'll start looking again and getting it all freshed up again for the next 30 to 60 videos.
So you're using InShot, which is, I love that as well. Have you got kind of a template in, or are you kind of?
I still haven't figured that out in InShot yet. I don't know. I wish there was some kind of template, but whenever I've used it in InShot, I think one of my bugbears about it is when you change the video, it seems to lose the text that's attached to that video. It seems like the text just video. I'm not sure. So I do manually enter it for every single video. But obviously I have a go-to font and a font size and, particular graphics I go to every time. It is a bit of a painstaking process, but I think I've got it down now. I can kind of it's about half an hour, 45 minutes for me to record the video, export it, get it into InShot, and then do the editing side of things. How
are you, because obviously I didn't realize, at first I thought you were kind of, you had just made a video of you playing some records and you kind of overlaid the music. But then after watching him a few times, I was like, shit, no, he's actually DJing and literally making mini mixes on. So, a few questions on there is, firstly, how long did it, how many times have you had to do things over and over again because you've gone, shit, I've made a mistake, and you wanted to get it down to certain length and time? That's the first one.
Yeah, it was definitely very stressful at first, 100%. I feel like it's so much easier with the modern tracks and how they're made today. Obviously, they're made for DJs, aren't they? A lot of these tracks, and they're made for the clubs already. So the newer stuff is easy. But when you get to doing a house classics video or something like that, where the tempos are all over the place and it's not exactly 128 BPM, it's 128.43 or something stupid like that, and you're trying to get all these things into it can be an absolute nightmare. No denying it. But just they're definitely the stressful ones. But I'd figured out kind of within the first few days of recording the content that. So I could have my intro song was going to be, I don't know, say 4 bars long, and that I was going to need to bring the next track in 2 bars into that in order, and then every song would play. I think it's 2 bars, maybe 4 on its own. 4 bars on its own, and then you would bring another track in. They'd have 4 bars together. That would come out, and then you get another 4 bars to the next one, and that normally makes it exactly around about 59 seconds, 59 to a minute. And I figured that would be optimal for YouTube, for Insta and TikTok to make it under a minute rather than, I know you can go a little bit longer now, but I figured obviously people can get bored, and I wanted it to be quick mixing so that people weren't getting bored of the same track, and it was, they were kind of waiting for the new ones to come in, but not having to wait too long. And once I got it down, the first few videos, I'd found that method. Now it's just kind of second nature to me. I was always kind of one of these people where I'd approach it a little bit from the negative side of things, where they'd be like, oh, how can you mix minimal deep tech style within a minute? That's not what the track's about. They need to be played 5 minutes together, and it's all about blending the mixes in these long mixes. And yeah, it is like that when you're in a club. But obviously the way that we with the kind of social media world that we live in now, that doesn't work. You haven't got 5 minutes to blend a track. You have to do it nice, snappy, quick mix to keep the attention of the viewer. So yeah, that was the route that I went down.
I love that. So replay that. So it's four bars on their own, and then two in a mix, and then four again. That's a great.
Something like that. Yeah. I'd have to. If I was playing the music, I'd know. But yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't. It's something like that. Maybe it's like four bars, then 4 bars together, then 4 bars by themselves, then 4 together, something like that. And it's always 5 tracks.
And then the next question is: how many times did you record yourself mouthing the bars, and then realised, shit, I don't want to be mouthing the bars when I'm counting? Because I know if I was doing it, I'd be there. Just the first few videos, I'd be like counting, but my mouth would be moving, counting along, and I'd be like, I don't want this in the shot. I want to be having a good time.
Yeah, it definitely at the start that was happening all the time, and yeah, a lot of foul language was being said, especially on some of those. Yeah, that's why I grew a beard, as someone said. It was all the stress. Yeah, it was the house classics ones. Yeah, that old style house music, like mixing that was just an absolute nightmare. Those ones, they were making me like 2 hours to record one video. For one of those, I thought, oh, this can't work like that. But then once I got in the method of things, and I kind of did it. So the ones that I knew were going to be difficult, I'd like shoot them all together in one day, because I know that'd be a stressful day, and then I could just box off the other ones. But yeah, it's just getting in the swing of things, I think, with it really. And yeah, it's. And
you think you got faster over time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, compared to when I first started it was taking me like, I don't know, half a day or something to get a couple out there. Whereas now, like I said, it takes me like half an hour, 45 minutes or something. I can really box. Did you ever
think in the start that you'd go, this is taking too long, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to make this? Did you think, or was it, I'm going to skip it out?
At that time, I was too focused on this is what I've got to do, and just sticking with it. And I wasn't going to be defeated at that moment in time. At the start of the year, I just had that mindset of, no, things have got to change. I'm going to make it work no matter what happens. And yeah, don't get me wrong, within the first week, when you see that, the numbers aren't coming together or something, it was a little bit pulling at the heartstrings, if you like. But then I just carried on, ploughed on. And then I think it was about maybe a week into it or something like that, I got my first real traction on Instagram and then on TikTok. And I was like, no, I've got something here, definitely. And then obviously the content, I just went ham on it then, basically.
That's interesting, because the numbers, I'm just looking, the numbers do kind of go up and down. How did you go through kind of weird emotions of like, should I stop? Should I?
I think you just got to let be what's let be and not get too concerned with the numbers. For me, I know that the house classic ones are always going to do better than the other ones, just because of that nostalgia kind of feeling, and the audience is a wider audience. But for example, the one with the Spinneroonie, that one, I thought it was going to perform so much better than it actually did. And then the numbers come in, and like on TikTok, I was a little bit downhearted, but I was like, you just got to take the wins with the losses, right? And just carry on. Like, you can't let it get defeated. Sometimes they just don't want to, the reach doesn't come. I know that when the reach opens up, when it passes that certain level, whatever that level is for TikTok or Instagram, to open that up to another audience, to a bigger audience, when they do that, I know the numbers will follow. Sometimes, for whatever reason, maybe that label that I'm doing, that I'm really into, maybe it's a little bit too underground, and it's not reaching the kind of main audience. But then, like I said, those ones that might not necessarily perform well, they're performing well for me because I'm getting in contact with these labels, and I'm getting a route in there, and I'm getting some dialogue open. So yeah, that's massive for me. So it's not just all about the numbers; it's about the networking side of things as well that it's allowing me to bring, and it's brought me bookings and things like that. So it's
that's amazing.
So I don't see it as a loss for me. Like, even if it did really poorly, then it's just move on to the next one. And you never know with these things. You could post that exact same reel the next day or a week later, and it booms. Like, sometimes it just doesn't catch on for whatever reason that day, and that's kind of out of my control.
Will you rerun some of these now? Like you're saying, you're getting to the end of 90 days. Will you rerun some of the ones and see if they re-perform differently now you've got a bigger audience?
I'm debating it at the moment. It's kind of up for it. I don't want to just be one of these people who just recycles content all the time, but then I know it will work, and I know it will hit the numbers. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about people that have just started following me, and then they're gonna complaining about oh, we've seen this before, or I don't know.
Will they though? Will they do that though?
Probably not, and it'll probably reach a new audience. I think it's just myself mind. It's just all in the mind basically there. Yeah, it would be a shame to just let those be a one and done. because I think it's clearly good pieces of content that people have engaged with. So, why not post it again? And like you said, it might reach a whole different audience that time that it wasn't reaching the first time. I think, especially on TikTok as well, like their algorithm will just shoot you everywhere.
I just think like you will have gained followers that won't have seen those, and even if they've gone back and binged, they still might not, because there is a loads of them now, and it's.
Yeah, I was worried at first of like kind of oversaturating a little bit. Because I was finding, like, say on TikTok or something, like, say 1 or 2, say from the weekend, I'd be doing really well. I don't know whether that's actually hurting my other ones that I'm putting out on a regular basis. But you put on, I think it was your Instagram about, I don't know what the word you were using, but kind of like content boredom or something like that, of like, if people are seeing the same things every time, they're going to get bored of it. So obviously that was in the back of my mind as well, which is why I started this second series as well, which I want to go ham on as well, just to give a little bit of variety. Obviously I've got a release coming up as well, so that's going to be more content as well. But I do try to change it up in my videos. I would like to, at some point when I get out to Ibiza in the summer, I would like to do a different backdrop to just being in my studio to add that variation and stuff.
Let's just play some, just so that people can see what we're talking about. Now we've kind of spoke about it for a little bit, because they are great. And let me just go back to the So this is the start, and then like you said, you had Defected Classics and Strictly Rhythm Classics that absolutely smashed it out of the park.
Yeah, it's weird because like I had like on my TikTok, for example, like the house classics, like I've done like OG house classics, that has just like outperformed the rest by miles. Like I think that's like 47K or something like that on the view rate for that. So the house classics do really well on there, whereas for this, it's been more like, I think that Defected one was one of the best ones. Strictly Rhythm, so they were together as well. They were posted, as you can see. So I think they've been the best performing ones actually.
Are you posting the same time every day, or are you mixing it up?
Same time every day, yeah. Normally between 5 and 6 o'clock. I try and just so I'm in a bit of a routine with it, basically.
And then are you spending time engaged? Like, what are you getting engagements from it? Are people sharing? Like, what's your key metrics?
I generally log on about half an hour before. Just start like looking at people's stories, like labels that I'm following already. Just see what's browsing Instagram, liking, commenting, getting involved, just so it knows that I'm being active on there. And then I do my best to like reply to every comment that I can. Obviously, I'm not big time yet, so it's more easy to do that. Even in top, like at the times, obviously, when it does blow up, it can be hard to keep track of. But I just think, obviously, by engaging with everyone that's replying on there, it's just going to help not only push my videos to more people, but obviously help turn those people into fans of my music and come back and check out my other videos in future as well.
That's really cool. I can't believe that people are like messaging now to have their own like artist ones. That's crazy as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's mad. And like some of the labels that I just wouldn't even think I'd be interested in, reposting it and stuff like that and getting it out there. I'm just like, wow. Like, it's blown my mind a little bit with some of them.
Are you using the top 5 ones to your Music Friday one? Is that growing your playlist at the same time?
It does. I do add to my Spotify playlist. I generally update that at the end of the month though. But I could do that weekly. On Spotify now, I've got like a minimal house kind of playlist, and then I've got like a house classic one as well. But to be fair, New Music Friday is not a bad way to go with that as well. To be fair, I think I could get one up there. But they always seem to do well on New Music Friday.
That's cool. Yeah, they do. Like, I'm just looking at the numbers. Like, it's really cool. And then obviously you're like, when you're doing these, I noticed that obviously because we've had the releases with you, I noticed that you've included. So where it's been like where did I see one where you did like your top 5 something, and it was like
I did like top 5 63B, which is obviously your label. So I put my own tracks in there. Obviously I've got a release coming out soon with you guys, and I'll obviously do another one then closer to the time as well.
Let's play that one. I'll just play this one now. Let's see. Let's have a look at them. This bass. Oh.
Love that song.
Yeah. That was signed off a stream as well. Most of the time these are signed off a stream. I like this. I never said this. The place goes good as well. There we go. Wow, that's a little thing. That's so good. Yeah, like you must have it lined, like everything's lined up, like cue point. Do you have to set all that up before you go, or?
Yeah, it's all about using the hot cues. Like that's just massively helpful for me. Obviously, going through the tracks first, seeing where the interesting bits are in the track, the bits that are going to grab the reader's attention, making sure there's not two vocals playing at the same time, things like that. But yeah, Hey Dan said, if you recorded several in a day, did you have several costume changes? And the answer is yes. So I had a rail in my studio with just many different shirts and stuff. So yeah, it would just be changing for every single one basically, and just getting it done. Go do what you got to do.
Plenitude asks, when you get booked DJ bookings based on your performance on TikTok, does the people that booked you think you would be a TikTok DJ mix at the event, like quick mixing?
It's not really come up, to be honest, at the moment though. But I mean, if they asked me that, then I would. That's something I could obviously talk to them about at the time. But sometimes I do use quick mixing within my set. Not as quick as that, obviously, but it really depends on the kind of tracks I'm playing and the vibe of the club at the time. Sometimes it's better to play, obviously, the tracks out longer and let the tracks play out in a club. But it depends in like things like house classics and stuff like that. I quite like quick mixing those. So there'd be a bit of quick mixing in there, but obviously not as much as you would see in these kind of Instagram videos. It would be impossible to maintain that for an hour, I think.
Yeah, that'd be tough. I don't know how many
tracks I'd be going through there, but yeah, if it's something yes, 5 tracks a minute. So.
Drum and bass. It's drum and bass mixing. Shelley gets these mixes in. Shelley gets mixes in that are for her series, and they're like an hour long, where they've got 70 tracks in them, and they're just like, holy crap. Hey Dan says, with the edits, do you use the full track or just focus on the build and drop?
For that Pump Up the Jam one, I did the full track. But going forward, I think I am just going to start doing something like this, pretty much just focused on for Insta. That might be, for example, like Hey Dan said, like the build and the drop, because then I can just look from Instagram or TikTok what the best performing ones are. And then from there, I can make them into fully fledged tracks then, rather than kind of maybe wasting my time doing a full track and then that's not something that the audience is engaged with. So yeah, doing it as kind of a bit of a tester. So then I can see within that first minute, are the audience engaged and is that what they're looking for? Do they want me to make a full version? If they do, then I can spend the time doing that.
And then I guess because you're remixing a house classic, then maybe you'd give it away as a free download. Would you try and get it signed?
Yeah. I don't think it would get signed, like you say, with it being a house classic. At the moment, I'd be probably pushing it towards my SoundCloud. I know a lot of people seem to be using like Bandcamp and things like that, but for me, I'd just be focusing on growing my SoundCloud at the minute.
That's cool.
That was the plan.
This is very cool. Very, very cool. I love that it's doing so well. Like the numbers are really, like you say, they're really mental. That some are up and some are down, but like you say, it's all the other stuff you're getting off that the people don't see. And this is one of the things that I say all the time. So like when me and Loz are doing stuff or YouTube stuff, it's like you may only get 200 views, but who are those viewers and what are they? You know, who's actually seen it? You know, you never know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I realised how much those kind of labels would appreciate me sharing their content. Maybe you're a little bit, will they want me to be tagging them in that? But really, those labels, they want as much exposure as they can get. Like, they might seem big time to you, but really, on the grand scheme of things, everyone's looking for content to put out there. Yeah. So I think they're more than appreciative that someone's spending the time to do a video about their label. Like, so, why wouldn't they, be engaging with you and reposting that? That's the kind of stuff they're looking for.
Yeah, because like you say, everyone struggles for it, and if you're the one that's making it for them, then it's just broken down that door quite quickly,
Exactly.
That's very cool. Have you, like, obviously you're using the same piece of kit as well. Have you had Pioneer reach out? Has this been a thing that's happened yet, or?
I mean, I would love that to happen at some point. I wouldn't say no, put it that way. I mean, if they want to start getting in touch, I mean, by all means, yeah, crack on. I would love to get some kind of sponsorship from Pioneer. That would be amazing. They can send me all the gear they want, all the new mixers, everything. Like,
this could be the next piece of the series. We test out Pioneer kit on a 5 trackers.
I would happily test out Pioneer gear if that's what they want.
Well, any other product, man, for that matter.
Yeah.
How often are you now going to fit in the Spinaroonie? Because I guess in the Spinaroonie ones, it's about you're making the track, which obviously then takes maybe longer than the mixing part, the mix part of it.
Yeah, ideally, I'd like to get them to one a week on for me. Time-wise, I could definitely fit that in to get one a week out there. I think it'd be a nice little piece of content. Ideally, if I could have, obviously, I've got New Music Friday. I put every Fridays, which is mixing. I do like the more classics on a Saturday, and then I do And then if I can incorporate that once a week and then some label stuff, and then obviously if I've got any releases out, things like that, upcoming gigs, I can introduce that as well. But for me, I think one post, if I can stick to one post a day, maybe start getting that up to 2, that'd be perfect. But I don't want to kind of overstretch and then start putting out garbage content. Do you know what I mean? I want to remain consistent in what I put out there, not just put out there for the sake of it. So, yeah.
And then you mentioned you're putting them on YouTube Shorts. Was this from the start? Did you go 3 platforms from the start, or is this a new thing that's happened?
Platforms from the start, yeah. I went from the start. So my TikTok, I think I had about 50 followers on there or something like that. It was quite low. I hadn't really put any time and effort into it.
Yeah.
I think that's grown to about 1,500, 1,007 in like a month and a half, 2 months. So that's been really good. My YouTube, on the other hand, not so good. I still put it out there. I think you've got to get it out there anyway. I don't know whether it's something to do with the licensing, especially on like the classics ones. I get a lot of copyright strikes, things like that. I don't know whether that's affecting it. So I've got the odd, a few subscribers, not very many, but I think I'm just seeing that as more of a long-term thing. I know obviously YouTube Shorts is where, they're putting a lot of focus on their short form content. So
I'm just doing a search for you. There we go. I found it. Because I'm going P.
All kinds of issues. You can't use a dot on YouTube Shorts. So when you have a name that's got P.WE, it doesn't work out in your favour.
Although, I don't know, dude. Like you say, you're up to 162 subscribers, and I'm just having a look now, and you are getting, like, your Anthems ones, again, are considerably, I'm just going to bring it, are considerably bigger, obviously.
Yeah.
But as a kind of percentage-wise, like a percentage of kind of where you were, like, compared to, like, the percentage difference is a similar percentage. Like, they're getting somebody 50, 60 views, and that's getting 435, whereas the other ones were getting maybe 1,000 or so, and maybe 10,000. So percentage-wise, sort of similar step, a gap. So they are definitely there, and they're definitely getting some reach, which is cool.
It's just views. Just plugging on with it, and then slowly, but
and you're starting from a small, like your Instagram had a much bigger starting point, so you're starting further down the road. So
exactly,
I like, they are getting views. My shorts do the same. Like, some of them get nothing, or 1 or 2, and then some of them get thousands. It's mental.
Yeah, I wish there was. I wish I could say like there was some strategy in it for the YouTube, but there hasn't been. Sometimes I just look at it, I'll be like, oh wow, that's done really good, and I wasn't expecting that one to do well, and it has done. Like, it really just depends on there. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Do you look at the stats on YouTube and just look at the kind of drop curve and see where people are watching for?
Yeah, I do, and I think compared to like TikTok and Instagram, I don't know whether the kind of content that I'm putting out, those mixes, I don't know whether it's more catered towards maybe TikTok and thingy. I think like a lot of the YouTube Shorts that I see are kind of, well, maybe it's just because of my watching, but seem to be like within the music base, they're a bit more educational that come up to me. I don't know whether that keeps people, like producer tips and things like that, whether that's like more of a better way to go. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to keep cracking on and see where we go.
I definitely would say keep cracking on. Like, I think Shorts is such a new platform, and I think you're gonna get this problem where it's gonna be up and down a little bit. But I think because there's like just trying to put a different content on a different space, which is gonna happen. It's gonna get some reach. It's gonna get some like different reach, which is I just watch it and see what happens. Ed Smith, welcome in. Cool. Well, that's epic, dude. I'm really happy for you. The content's sick, and I love watching them. And like I'm so happy that they're doing loads of stuff that we didn't even realize they're doing, which is absolutely amazing. I love you're getting gigs from it. I love that you're connecting with labels, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's great, and it's like even sometimes even if the views don't convert to likes and stuff, obviously there's still people reaching out to me. Then they've just viewed it, but for whatever reason they've not pressed like, but they're still reaching out and stuff like that. So yeah, massive. Like, it's been perfect.
Let's have another record. So last year you released a record with me on 63B called Vibe With Me, which did absolutely amazing. Let's play it and then we'll talk about it.
Cool.
feel yourself, so baby. Because my jam is just right.
There we go. That was banging. I'm going to say that I'm biased.
It's been my best performing track though, so something must be right about it.
Yeah, it did really well. Like it did well across the world as well. We've had so much success. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so Vibe With Me. I don't know. I mean, another one of those where, you know, an idea in my notepad. I was messing around in Ableton, like this like piano sound. Then I started to layer that up, really like the vibes that was giving. And then, got a drum loop together, found the vocals, got some other vocals recorded over the top of that as well with a friend of mine. And then, just started putting it all together. I wanted that kind of, a bit of a classic kind of sound to it. But then also, like, say, on that minimal kind of deep tech kind of vibe as well. I would say you don't really hear too much of that kind of piano sound in the kind of deep tech stuff. I think sometimes it's all kind of like sub bass and glitchy vocally, glitchy one shot vocals kind of vibe. So I thought it'd be nice to add that kind of piano to it to give it a little bit of a different feel than what's already out there. And like EMZ Smith says, like can't beat 90s piano house track. So that was definitely an influence in the sound of it. Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think the artwork kind of sums it up well as well. It's that kind of like, it was a bit jivey kind of, I don't know, kind of like your usual kind of like house sound either. So yeah, all those kind of elements kind of thrown in, and then voila, there was the track.
Amazing. And then we got stuff all over the world for it, which is absolutely crazy. I was like, every time it did something, I was just like, this is amazing, and it's growing like so good.
Yeah, it was doing really well. Like it's one of my best performing tracks on Beatport. Like it did really good SoundCloud numbers. Like Spotify, it was getting picked up by playlists all over the shop, which was cool. But then I still get these like random iTunes kind of notifications on my analytics app that come through. That was like number one in New Zealand on the dance charts and house charts, and then it had like hit the main chart in New Zealand. Which this is like, what, 9 months after release, 6 months after release or something. So I was just like, wow, just like things like that happening. It's just such a good boost to like, myself or any producer when you get these kind of stats coming through, and it, really keeps you motivated to, keep plugging on. But yeah, I do use song stats, skeleton keys. That's what I use.
And then content wise, like we absolutely smashed it on the content. Like I was going to bring it up. I'll just bring it on the screen. No, that's not the wrong one. Screen share. Like we had, we had so much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we had that new one up here. Which is up here. And your thing, you want to set 18 because you've played it on the 63B one. And then there was the one where it was like just got it in the. I saw it. Where has it gone? Where was it? It was recent, wasn't it? There's one where it was like just got into the.
Yeah, that was recent. I don't know how recent, but it's last couple of weeks anyway. Definitely. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, iTunes. So 20 pieces of content. Yay!
Yeah. Exactly. It's just like taking notice of those little wins and obviously refreshing it in people's minds as well. Like if I know any videos that had gone, like I knew a DJ that was playing in Manchester, so I made an effort to go out there to the club night so I could get some videos when it was coming out, and just things like that. As you can see, getting my dog involved, all kinds of things.
Ones, dogs involved.
Yeah, that was a piece of content. That was a ball ache, let me tell you.
Really?
I will be doing that again for the efforts that I had to put in for that content, for what it turned out as. My dog doesn't have the DJ skills that's needed.
Oh, no way. Time over ROI on time over return. It was a negative.
Oh, it was definitely not worthy, that one. But yeah,
you got him in there as well. Like he would appear a couple of times.
Yeah. She makes an appearance every every now and again. My dog Wendy, she's about in the studio chilling. She'll get a cameo.
That's cool. But yeah, 20, that's mental. 20. So you did a couple of breakdowns. We did some chart places. We did some, again, DJ ones. Again, just kind of like here's the artwork one. Like it is really like everything we kind of spoke about really in the course, and just how to do as much content as possible, which is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But we even had like, I got tagged in one on Instagram, I think just a bit further down, this dancer from, I want to say Ecuador. It might not.
That's right.
Yeah, like, I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? Like, to think that the music's reaching that far and people are making dances about it and things like that. Like, those little wins, like, I just think, like, to me as a producer, they're massive. They're really massive, like, especially at this point.
I remember that guy. And then you basically remix. You look at this. You used the remix feature on Instagram. That, again, quick content that just literally, like, that probably took as long as it took to watch the piece of content on the remix. And that feature's crazy, so quick for making content.
Exactly.
So that was a 2-track EP. Let's just talk and play the other track, give it because the other track did really well as well. I seem to remember.
Yeah, that was the one that the dancer made the video of. Yeah, the Marimbuh track. Yeah, I love that track.
Yeah, me too. Let's play it quickly. There we go. So that was the B-side.
Marimbuh. I'm going for Marimbuh.
Yeah.
To be fair, what's really good about that one is like obviously for some tracks on Instagram, like it's for searching the music and things like that, for type P.WE Marimbuh, there's no other track called Marimbuh, so it comes up every time. Same with Ketamind, it's great for that. Whereas like ones with, like, for example, I've got a track called Moving, and it's so hard to find. Like on my Instagram, I want to put on my my stories and stuff. Yeah, it's just a bit of an ache to find it. When a unique track is definitely the way forward for making that easier.
I saw someone say, "Is it worth sponsoring posts on Instagram?" You haven't sponsored any of these posts.
I haven't sponsored them, any of them. No, it's all been organic reach that I've got from them. I suppose it depends how quickly you want to grow, really, doesn't it? It's obviously going to boost your numbers. A friend of mine, they've been doing not DJing, producing, but more like events and stuff. They use sponsored posts on their TikTok, and they found that it would fly in a day that you put the money on, but then they just kill the reach straight away after the day of sponsor. Whereas with my reach on TikTok, it can last like 5 to 7 days on TikTok. So it might pick up after day 2, 3, and then it'll keep growing the reach. Whereas, like I said, my friend who was doing it when they were sponsoring, they just kill the reach as soon as the money's kind of dried up after the day. So I'm not really sure. I suppose it depends what works for you. You could trial it, I guess.
Test and learn.
Just not sure right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do it on loads of R's, but I'll do it from Business Manager and do it not just. I wouldn't click the boost button. I just do it as an actual push from a campaign in the back end of Business Manager, and I run those sort of campaigns loads for growing Spotify. It's really good for Spotify for ads.
That's what I'm definitely, because I remember even in the course, like, you talk about ads manager and stuff like that, and I've got the content and I've got the videos and I can watch it 10 times over and it still doesn't make sense to me. Like, I know it is really simple when you get to know it, but for some reason I've never been able to work it out. But as soon as you get that nailed on, like you have, obviously it can make a massive difference.
I'll go through it again with you happily. Like there's new versions on the online version. If you've got the video, the live videos, there's much more. Like the new online videos, which I did after because you did the live version where we just sat and did it live for 2 hours. But the new online version, which I'll resend you the link so you've got it. Literally, it goes step, and it's super easy now. Like so many people so many course members are growing theirs quite quickly with the ads now.
Yeah, I'll definitely get on that.
I'll resend you the link afterwards as well, so you've got it again. Someone asks, who was your influence back for making tracks?
It is a great question. I don't know if I had a particular influence, if I'm completely honest with you. I never set out there to I want to make tracks exactly like this guy. But I'd say people along the lines of anything that was getting paid in tribal sessions. So Steve Lawler, not sure. One of those. Anything by him back in the day, like Darius, Seropian, like Max Chapman, for example, was someone I was really into a few years ago. So yeah, just people like that, or just having a look at what artists in the scene currently, what's working well, and then basing it off them a little bit, but only for inspiration. There was never one artist that stood out to me and I was like, that was my kind of into the industry. I was the music for me, and like I said earlier in the chat, was going clubbing and being in the clubs and hearing that kind of music, and then always wanting to make something that was for the clubs. I've never had that kind of urge to make something for radio. For me, it's always been rooted in club music. So yeah, just like I say, just any kind of nights like the tribal sessions and things like that was always what I was into. So I kind of, I don't think Shazam was around back in the day, so I can't really say that. But if it was around, I would definitely be doing that. Yeah.
When your hobby becomes your kind of, you're doing it more and more on, you're making lots of content yourself and playing lots of records all the time. You need to, I always think you need to have other things on the side to kind of keep your mental state good. And obviously, I know we've had this question a lot over the streams. Pete Griffiths said to me one time, well, how do you keep your mental state well balanced? You need to have, when music starts as your hobby, and then it turns into your kind of more time. You're spending more and more time. What do you have as other hobbies on the side? Do you have things that you'd like to do outside of music and outside of, obviously, because you're working as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said there about the making music, it does start as a hobby and then all of a sudden it becomes a job real fast. And I think that can definitely tap your motivation as well. But yeah, I think spending time with my family is massive for me. Getting as much time in as possible, taking my dogs for walks, things like that gets me out of the house, really freshens my mind. I play football as well. My last season, I'm getting old now, I'm 35, so I can't quite go like I used to. So I'm a captain of my football team that's local to my area. So I do that every Thursday. I train, play on it every Sunday. So that just gets the endorphins going. Is a good outsource for any energy that I've got. I started wrestling training with my brother. There's a New Year's thing. We've always talked about it. We liked it when we were kids, and we just thought, let's try something new, kind of for 2023. So we've been doing that every Saturday for a couple of hours since the start of the year. So just keeping little fun activities or hobbies that I'm, that pique my interest. I play badminton once a week with my dad and my brother.
Nice.
Just always, little bit of activities. If I can blend family in with those activities, I generally like to do so. Obviously, finding times for friends is always nice as well. If I can hook up with my friends once every couple of weeks or something like that, I try and do that as well. And like you say, it just keeps the mind fresh, allows me to reset as well, and spend that valuable time away from the studio, because I think sometimes you can just end up in a bit of a studio bubble. It's definitely nice to have those activities that pull me away for sure.
I've seen you liking some of my football posts, so I feel that we're on the same tip when it comes to football teams.
Yeah, definitely. We're both Reds, aren't we? The proper
Yeah, 100%.
I'd say a United fan, but then all the Newcastle fans would be popping out saying they're United and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm a big Manchester United fan, definitely. So I do enjoy watching a game from time to time. I don't really get a chance to go to Old Trafford as much as I would like, but if I can go once, twice a year, it's always nice. I know you like following the women's football and go quite a lot. I do keep an eye on that. To be honest, a lot of it I keep an eye on through your posts. Kind of keeps me updated, see what's going on. If anything comes up on BBC and stuff like that, I'll follow it on there as well.
You should come with. I'll message you next time we're going. Yeah. You should come with. It's the women's football's. I absolutely love going to watch women's football. It's so good, and they're back at Old Trafford at the 25th of March. And I went before. And we literally were in the Stretford end. It was amazing. Like you say, it's difficult to get to men's home games because it's flipping expensive, and it's flipping the ticketing is ridiculous.
Yeah, the ticketing. Even if I get offered tickets all the time, but triple the price or something like that. I'm like, I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah, we go and watch the women's football. It's £6 to get in. It's wicked, and the atmosphere is brilliant.
That's good. Yeah, my auntie, she's a City fan, unfortunately, but she follows the women's team around all the time with her grandchildren. So like they had like pictures of, like the derby and stuff, the City United derby. But you had fans sitting together, different kind of environment. So much more welcoming and stuff like that, and family orientated. That can't go wrong.
I've also just seen in the chat. Someone's mentioned the Amstrad 464. Oh my god, we had an Amstrad 464. Oh my god, that was a great computer. Whoa, wow, that's a blast from the past. We had an Amstrad 464. Oh my god.
Oh, I think DR wants me to talk more about music production. It says go to VST.
Do it. Go on.
So I would say like very much Ableton based. I've just upgraded to Ableton 11, which is I've been stuck on 9 for 5 years or so. I think when I started my course with Point Blank, it just come out, I think Ableton 10 or something, and I've just been stuck rooted in Ableton 9 just because I know it inside and out. So I've just got 11 now, and I'm starting to explore that a little bit more. But things like the operator synth inside of Ableton, like I absolutely love. Like, I use that for the majority of my bass lines. It's just so easy to use. Massive, of course, is a go-to for a lot of people. Serum I'll use every now and again, but honestly, not that much. Like I thought I was going to use it more because I was hearing people use it all the time, and then I don't know if I'm just not using it right. I don't know. I never really find the sounds that I want from there. I find more in Massive, and then, like I say, operator. What else does it say? Synths, sample pack, brands, sample packs. I kind of went in a little bit gung ho when I started producing, and I was buying everything. So I was just on Loop Masters all the time, buying every single sample pack. But I had hundreds of sample packs on my hard drive. I had a Splice membership, which I don't have anymore because I found that just a waste of money that I wasn't using. But I found I had all these samples, and the amount of time I was wasting searching through samples when I was making tracks was just ridiculous. Like, trying to find that perfect hat sound or whatever. And it was just like, it's just full of garbage, basically, for want of a better word. And my samples was just, I had so much in there. It was just flooded. So last year, what I did, I just spent a good solid week going through all my samples, picking out, say, like 20 hat sounds. These are my hat sounds. 20, I think I've got about 4 or 5 kicks that are my kicks that I love using every time that I slightly alter. Same, I use 2 or 3 bass lines every time now, or bass synths, like presets in Operator that I've made or in Massive, and then I just stick to them, and I just find it just helps me. It's like I'm getting a sound that's more authentically mine in my tracks that I'm putting out there, so they sound not the same, but there's a similar kind of vibe to them all every time. And I'm just saving so much time not having to sift through piles of samples that I'm never ever going to use. I did just buy I think it's called Sample from Mars. They had a special deal which I could not resist, which I think it was something like $50 for all of their samples that they've ever released. And they got loads of 909s in there, 808 samples that are really cool. But again, now I've just ended up with 60 gig of samples that I've got to kind of search through and find the ones that I like. I've not used any yet because there's just so many. So I'm going to have to do a similar thing to what I've done previously. Obviously, spend a week or a few days filtering through, find the ones that I like, and then use them. And then I'm not getting bogged down with a ridiculous choice of samples that I'm never going to use.
That's cool. I like this kind of workflow that you seem to have across the music making, also the kind of from your content stuff as well. It's like box things, organize things first, and then make and then do and make it simpler for yourself.
It's the best way, because otherwise, I'll have a list of things I want to do in the studio, and there could be 20, 30 things on that list, whether it's a specific EP I want to make for labels, certain kinds of content. And for me, I just find block booking it is so much easier, and it just focuses my mind. So I can just be like, right, this 2 weeks, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do mini mixes, and I want to prepare that for Instagram and TikTok and get it all ready, boxed off, and then I don't have to worry about that. This week I'm going to focus on production. This few days I'm going to look at getting samples, etc., etc. And then if I block book my time that way, I find it easier to manage. I did try doing, for example, I'm going to do 2 hours in the morning. I'm going to work on this track for said, certain label. Then I'm going to do 2 hours. I'm going to do this. It doesn't work for me. I can't go from one thing to another like that. I need to have that focus on one specific thing, and then it just saves me massive amount of time. And then I know I could give my full focus to it, basically.
That's really cool. I really like that. It's really cool. Right, let's listen to music. We've got a new record out today.
Yes.
It's called Mysterious Ways. And you did it with Hey Dan. He was in the chat. Hey Dan in the chat.
Yeah. Hey Dan, a nice little collaborative effort between me and him.
Let's play it and then we'll talk about the collaboration. There we go. Hurrah! Cool. So tell us about the collaboration with Hey Dan. Hey Dan.
Yeah, so I kind of reached I reached out to him. Dan had come to one of my events a couple of years ago, got chatted from there, kind of developed a bit of a relationship online, talking about music, always supported each other's music. And then, just invited him around to my studio last year. I spent a couple of sessions. And then, believe it or not, as in the chat says, the sun was shining. I had that Bob Marley track on just before he came, and I was like, I just love the vibes of that track. I think everyone loves the vibe of that track, especially the remix of it. And then I was like, I wanted the vibes of that track, but then obviously I didn't just want to straight rip it off with a sample. So we just the chord progression basically, and that's all. There's no actual sample from the song. It's just a chord progression that's used inside there. And from that, we kind of use that as a basis for the track. We wanted something, made for the club, but also that someone describes it pretty well, like a weirdly happy progression. And I think that does fit the track quite nicely. It is a weirdly happy progression in there. But just like that chord progression, obviously layering it up with like strings, pad sounds, making that as big as possible in there as well. And then adding our own vocals. I think I wrote the vocals, and then I think Hey Dan, did the spoken word vocals over the top. I can remember. I think we tried with mine, weren't really feeling the vibe. And then, Hey Dan had a little go on that, and it sounded much better. So we went for that. I think it's a couple of studio sessions, and then job was a good one. Really enjoyed us making the music. It was fun times.
So this is fully out next Friday, the 10th.
Next Friday,
I dropped it on I put it on Bandcamp today, so if anyone wants to grab it today from the stream, they can do. And I put the link in the chat. So, what from a content point of view, what are you gonna have you got ideas? Are you gonna what's the plan? Do you know what you're gonna do with this?
Yeah, I've got some ideas. I'll definitely do some in the making videos. I'll probably do that for for both of the tracks on the EP, one for each. I'm going to send it off to a guy that's done a dance for one of my tracks before, the guy in Ecuador, see if he wants to make a piece of content. I think that'd be good.
Nice.
Obviously, once the release comes out, any kind of like playlists that are supported, I can do content around that. Any numbers, we can get a playlist on that. Content around that would be perfect. I'll do a mix as well of both of the tracks, or even another. I've already done a top 5 of 63B, but I can do another one. There's no problem with that. So that's another way of putting content out there as well. Cool.
I love that you can now that because you've built these series, you can filter your tracks into these series again and again.
Yeah, exactly. And then if Dan's got any ideas of any content he wants to put out as well, we can obviously collaborate on the post as well. So it'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, is he local to you? I guess he comes to your events. So it must be.
Yeah, Manchester. Yeah, localish. I'm not sure exactly where. I think it might be Stockport, but I could be wrong there. But not too far away.
Cool. So we could do a back-to-back top 5. That'd be quite funny.
We could try. We'll see. He's very busy at the moment. He's just had a little one on the way. Well, just born not so long ago, so he's very busy with babies at the minute. But if he can.
Oh gosh.
If he can, the studio will be free.
Okay, well let's play this. The second side is called That Groove. Should we play that one?
Yeah, we can play that one. Great.
Got to have that groove.
There we go. What I'm going to say is all of your tracks definitely pass the kick test.
Pass the kick test. I quite like the kick.
Thanks, dude.
Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, it's obviously kick and bass is such a massive factor anyway with anything that's made for the club. So that's straight away is the first thing that I look to have nailed down.
Harvey said your vocals on this are good on this one too, and some other production questions in the chat, which I saw you answer as well.
Yeah, so just asking about the pad sounds for both, but I think they were mainly done in Massive, but then layered with some different presets in Massive, and then the native instruments strings lab or something like that. I'm not sure, but they always sound amazing when layered with pads. So I generally use those, and then for that groove track, Operator inside Ableton is what I use for that bass sound.
And what else have you got coming up this year? What else is coming up in 2023? Like content, gigs, how's that all looking? How's summer looking?
Content, keep streaming through, keep ploughing on as always. More of the same with that. Definitely more of the edits coming my way. Also making original tracks as well. I've got a few labels that I'm targeting. Hopefully in the next 6 months, if I can get on those labels, that would be a dream. Just keep working on that. Regarding DJing, I'm DJing at the end of the month in Manchester, an event. And then I've got some collaboration with Ibiza Bible and Secret Sessions in the summer in Ibiza. So I should be playing at 2, maybe 3 of their events over the summer. But more
Amazing.
on that soon. I don't want to give too much away on that one because I don't think I'm supposed to.
Because it's a secret.
Exactly. But so obviously from there, another booking in Ibiza as well for, I think it's close to September, that one. So just more about, more of the same, keep cracking on with the production and, the content. And then hopefully from that, it's going to, turn itself into more bookings as well.
Finally, can you just sort of sum up how working with us was and the course, and would you recommend it to others?
Yeah, of course. I'd 100% recommend it to others. Like the amount of content that I got from yourself, like not just, I think what the people don't realize about this course is it's not just a 6-week course or however long of course it is. Like Graham does these chats that are weekly chats with everyone that's been on the course. And he's been running them practically every week since I started the course 2 years ago. You don't have to go every week. You can kind of pop in every time, whenever you're free to do so. And then if you've got any questions about anything that's happening at that time, whether it's regarding ads or you've got a release coming up and, has Graham got any suggestions, then it's just perfect for that side of things. You've got the networking thing as well with all the other people that are attending the course that can only be helpful. The day-to-day stuff that he's helped me with from this course, like I say, with the organising my content, little apps that have been key to my progression has been unreal, honestly. It kind of gave me the kick up the backside that I needed regarding content creation. And I can't speak highly enough of it, to be honest. It's been a massive, massive help. And all these things that have kind of been put to me in the course 2 years ago, and I'm still using them to this day. And it's making my life so much easier. So I'd highly recommend it.
Oh, that's great to hear, dude. I'm so happy. I can't wait to see what happens this year. I'm blown away with what you were saying about content earlier and how that series has just opened up so much for you. And I'm so happy with all of that's happening, which I'm so pleased, honestly.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see how this release does. And then
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
Wicked, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. And your voice held together. Like when we spoke this morning, I was like, oh my...
Yeah. I've battled through. It's actually made me feel better. Like you must have that vibe with people. So I feel a lot better than when I was 2 hours ago. So I'll thank you for that. Obviously, everyone that's been in the chat as well. It's been awesome getting to know some other people and chatting to them. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love the vibes that have come in the chat as well. I've had that quite a lot recently, so I must be getting older and it's showing, and I'm turning into a ZZ Top cover band.
Well, I think. Well, Surround Sound obviously has a beard, and they want to start a beard gang label. Who's a beard gang label?
Oh, funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Wicked
weird.
gang. Beardy Weirdies, yeah. Oh, that's funny as. Amazing. Right, well, let me let you go because I'm conscious of your being poorly, but thank you so much for doing this. It's great to see you.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I'll be chatting with you anyway over course and release and stuff shortly anyway.
Perfect.
I hope you feel better.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks everyone as well for getting involved. I appreciate it. And catch you later. Have a good day.
If you found this interview interesting, consider giving it a like and a comment. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and let me know your biggest takeaway below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can check out the schedule from the link below as well to see who's coming up in my interview series. I'll see you in the next Twitch stream or the next YouTube video. I'll see you soon. Bye.